the Sussexes' efforts to rehabilitate their public image and to re-enter the royal family. Now, Harry and Meghan, they've got to do that. They need to recalibrate their royal credentials because that's the only value that exists within the brand.
Or what I think is a much bigger threat to the royal family than Andrew.
Their finances are basically in jeopardy over the long term. And Meghan is someone who is desperate for fame. She's desperate for recognition. She's desperate for money, of course, and status. And it just seems to her that a visit to the royal family in Britain would give her or restore to her the credibility she once had.
The debate over Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's future relationship with the United Kingdom has taken another unexpected turn.
I mean, the cost of living for them is enormous. I mean, the security alone, which they feel they need, must cost between $1.5 and $2 million a year. The upkeep of their home and their staff must cost at least another $2 million.
For weeks, reports suggested that Meghan was finally preparing to return to Britain for what would have been her first visit in several years, joining Harry during preparations connected to the upcoming Invictus Games in Birmingham.
Because Harry is isolated in California, he has actually now got no role at all. And I'm sure he now misses his family, he misses his roots, he misses England, and somehow wants to worm his way back into the affections not only of his own family, but of the British people. So I think we're seeing them effectively crawl on bended knees back to Britain.
On paper, the visit looked significant. It would have placed the couple back on British soil together, potentially opening the door to family conversations, renewed public attention, and perhaps even the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship with the royal family. But now, those plans appear to have changed dramatically.
That they're not coming back on their terms. But I'm not sure if the terms have yet been agreed. I think we are seeing at the moment the Sussexes' rather paltry, low-level press machine churning out stories about their return without anything coming, as you rightly say, from Buckingham Palace confirming their view and their opinion of what they think is going to happen. I think it's all still very much in the air, and I think that that's for two reasons. On the one hand, I don't think Harry is going to get the Rabeck agreement for protection he wants from. This is the committee that decides whether his life is at risk, and therefore he and Meghan, as he demanded, should have armed protection throughout.
According to multiple reports, Meghan is no longer expected to make the trip, and the reason behind that decision has sparked a fresh wave of speculation across royal circles. What makes this development especially interesting is that it reportedly has very little to do with personal disagreements inside the royal family. Instead, the central issue appears to be security, something Prince Harry has been fighting over ever since he and Meghan stepped away from their roles as working royals in 2020.
So this is just a complete disaster. It's a massive crisis for Harry and Meghan, because if they don't get this UK trip next month, then they're going to continue to lose money, to lose relevance, and to be further detached from the idea that they are royals. Remember, central to their survival plan now, and that's what they're aiming for. They're not aiming to prosper, they are aiming to survive, is to once again be Prince Harry with a capital P and Princess Meghan. May God help us.
Harry has repeatedly argued that his family faces unique security risks whenever they travel to Britain. Over the years, he has challenged the decision to remove automatic taxpayer-funded police protection, insisting that the threat level remains high because of his royal status and the publicity surrounding his family.
So Friday, June 27th, we got an itinerary for them. What event Meghan was supposed to be at. You know, what sort of the plans were. They were going to go visit Diana's gravesite in Althorp, and they were going to go to a hospital together. And then on Saturday, it was, no. Whoopsie daisy. We didn't get the security that we wanted. So yeah, now the kids and Meghan aren't going. But we're going to be holidaying in Europe. And apparently they can fly in for the day maybe and fly out.
This has never been a simple disagreement. Harry even took legal action over the issue, hoping to overturn the decision that stripped him of automatic protection while visiting the United Kingdom. However, the courts ultimately ruled against him, leaving him in a position where any enhanced security arrangements would need to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. That decision has shaped every discussion about future visits ever since.
The next day, they pull out. The Insider has said it's a total joke and a farce. The Insider said to the Mail on Sunday, they're totally playing into the hands of those who say they caught drama like this to sell Meghan's jam. Now, that's a brilliant question. Let me know in the comments. Do you think that this chaos, this U-turn, this drama over security, this threat to cancel the trip comes from Meghan? Is this all a plan? Has this been storyboarded in advance, like one of Meghan's episodes of Suits?
As planning reportedly began for this latest trip, Harry once again requested the level of armed protection he believes is necessary for Meghan and their children. Reports indicate that the request went through the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, better known as RAVEC, the body responsible for determining security arrangements for members of the royal family and other high-profile individuals. Like previous occasions, officials reportedly reviewed the request, rather than automatically approving it.
But if this report is true, that she's decided last minute, well, it's not week after next, that they were supposed to be coming, and everything seemed to be in order, then it beggars belief. That it almost feels like they're trying to blackmail the royal family at all times to get what they want, whereas they're saying everything is fine. I am pretty sure the security arrangements that would be in place would be perfectly acceptable. But why? This is where I think a lot of people struggle to understand. Why does he think that we are going to leave him exposed? Which no one wants that to happen.
Initially, there appeared to be optimism that everything would move forward smoothly. Preparations reportedly included travel logistics, accommodation discussions, and appearances connected with the Invictus Games. Harry, who founded the Invictus Games in 2014, has remained deeply committed to the international sporting event for wounded, injured, and sick service personnel. His connection to the organization remains one of the few major public roles that has continued uninterrupted since leaving royal duties, making his attendance at events surrounding the Games widely expected.
Beyond the Invictus schedule, reports also suggested Harry hoped to spend personal time in Britain, reconnecting with places that hold deep emotional significance.
Harry was going to do lots of stuff. He was going to stay at a royal residence, which we understand to be Sandringham, but he was also going to go to Althorpe House in Northamptonshire. And that, of course, is where Diana grew up. She is a Spencer, and it's in fact where she is buried following her tragic passing in 1997. So the Diana trip is in peril, the reunion with King Charles is in peril, and the brand reboot is in peril. Diana herself laid to rest at Althorpe on a secluded tree-covered island, and it was going to be a big moment for Harry to take Archie and Lily to remember their amazing grandmother, who, of course, by the way, would be spitting with rage.
One of those reported plans included visiting the resting place of his mother, Princess Diana, at Althorpe House. According to those reports, Meghan and the children were initially expected to join him, creating what many believed would be an emotional family moment, especially considering Archie and Lilibet have spent very little time in the United Kingdom since their parents relocated to California.
Some people have said, oh, they must have known for months or weeks or whatever about the security. I actually don't think that's the case because, again, Harry has 28 days to give them notice. If he does give them the 28-day notice, it will take him some time to do the security evaluation, but Harry should feel great. After all, guys, the security evaluation for this upcoming visit was done. And wouldn't you know it, the government's like, actually, no, you're just fine, buddy. You come here with your family. It's great. You don't need the extra security. You're fine.
However, just as those preparations seemed to be falling into place, the situation reportedly shifted. The security assurances Harry had been seeking were apparently not confirmed at the level he had hoped for. That immediately placed the Sussexes in a difficult position.
Again, I think some people are thinking, oh, well, Harry and Meghan, they were just manipulating and hoping to blackmail the palace into giving them what they wanted. I mean, again, I guess we're all smarter than Meghan Markle, because I don't think anybody in their right mind would have any thought that that would actually be a possibility. You would have to be exceptionally dumb to think that. And that's, again, the only thing I can use to describe Harry and Meghan here. What the heck? And again, they announced something. This is not just speculation, guys. They literally gave a somewhat itinerary.
Harry has consistently maintained that he does not believe it is safe to bring Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet to Britain without comprehensive protection comparable to what working members of the royal family receive. Because of that long-standing position, accepting anything less would not only contradict years of public statements, but could also weaken the argument he has made in court and in numerous interviews.
It's a big story that they were all going to come over, and
so
obviously
they wanted the attention.
Well, yeah, they're so divided. Well, Meghan and especially, but Harry and Meghan have been very divisive here in Britain, and I think that possibly having the story out, it was giving people a little bit of time to get used to it. And again, this is pure speculation on why.
That's releasing bad news early.
I don't know. It's like politicians releasing things on a Friday night.
I think what they wanted to do is just say, this is exactly what we're doing to avoid the situation where people are debating it right up to the day, but that's backfired because then it fell apart.
If he were willing to bring his family under reduced security arrangements now, critics would almost certainly question why the issue had been presented as such a serious concern for so many years. As a result, reports now suggest Harry has chosen the only option that aligns with his previous position.
Because you expose ruthlessly the multiple times that Meghan has lied in her public account, in retooling, re-narrating her past, her present, all these kinds of things. I just can't help feeling there's a terrific risk for the palace and the king in restoring a platform, whatever caveats that platform comes with, to a proven liar and to two people who have used those lies to try and damage the crown, to try and damage Charles, and to try and damage William and Catherine.
Well, not try, Tom. I mean, they actually did damage. I mean, they caused enormous damage around the world by Meghan's false assertion that there was this racist agenda against the unborn Archie.
Rather than bringing the entire family under security arrangements he considers insufficient, Meghan and the children are expected to remain in California, while Harry potentially travels alone to fulfill his commitments connected with the Invictus Games. The decision has reignited debate over whether this situation is primarily about genuine security concerns or whether broader issues continue to complicate any attempt by the Sussexes to rebuild ties with Britain.
I mean, that was a shocking lie to have told, which was instantly picked up everywhere. But it didn't help because the damage has been done and continues to be done. And of course, Harry's account in his autobiography, Spare, about his relationship with Charles and William and Camilla and even the Queen, are so damaging, such treachery, that it's hard to forgive him, let alone Meghan, for the damage and the dishonesty and the betrayal that they committed. But I think that Charles wants to have some sort of reconciliation because he is weak and he's ill, and he somehow rightly feels that Harry is somewhat feeling sad for himself and somehow wants to make amends.
Royal commentators have pointed out that every potential return seems to become entangled in discussions involving legal disputes, public perception, finances, family relationships, and media attention. Instead of being a straightforward visit, each proposed trip quickly evolves into another chapter in an ongoing story that has remained unresolved since Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal life more than 5 years ago. At the same time, the timing is particularly important.
But I don't believe that they're going to give them what Meghan really wants, which is a royal welcome. I mean, you've got to look back, and I described this deliberately in detail in Betrayal, the book, their so-called royal tours in Nigeria and Colombia, where Meghan and Harry really did pretend to be members of the royal family, or were treated as members of the royal family. And that has suited Meghan enormously, because not only did that promote her status, but it promoted all her clothes. And she was able to earn commission on 4 changes of clothes a day. And you've got to remember they're coming over to England for the pre-rehearsal of the Invictus Games, these special games for disabled servicemen. Now, I went to Vancouver last year to watch the games. Of course, the Invictus Games are really just the Meghan Games. No one is interested at all, unfortunately.
Harry has repeatedly expressed his desire to maintain his connection with the Invictus Games, an organization that continues to receive widespread respect for supporting veterans from around the world. His commitment to the event has never been questioned, making his attendance highly likely regardless of the wider controversy. But Meghan's reported absence changes the public narrative considerably, shifting attention away from the games themselves and back toward the continuing questions surrounding the Sussexes' relationship with Britain, security, and the royal family.
What everyone wants to see is, what will Meghan and Harry do? And Meghan, of course, milks that occasion for all it's worth. Now, she will hope to do exactly that in Birmingham, in England, in July, when Harry comes for this rehearsal. And that is exactly what I hope the palace will prevent. They won't allow Meghan to parade herself as a member of the royal family and the Duchess in Britain itself, to actually earn money and earn glory from having married the prince. I mean, we are then into really sordid, controversial territory if in any way she's allowed to exploit that situation.
As discussions surrounding the cancelled plans intensified, attention quickly shifted beyond security and toward the larger question of what Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are ultimately hoping to achieve. Ever since stepping away from their royal duties in 2020, the couple has tried to build an independent life in California through media partnerships, public speaking, charitable projects, and business ventures. While they have launched several high-profile initiatives, many royal observers believe maintaining some connection to the royal family continues to be an important part of their public identity.
They're not Machiavellian figures. Harry and Meghan are stupid. Again, I hate to be this harsh, but I'm like, why would you do this? Why would these two imbeciles do this? Because they just ticked off every single freaking journalist that they gave information to, because you don't go and say something like definitively we're going to the UK if you don't know if the security you delusionally think you need is going to be there. If the government says no, which it should have, by the way, you don't say anything until you're sure. And I mean, there's some aspects, I guess. But guys, in the real freaking world, not social media, in the real freaking world, Harry and Meghan look like imbeciles. They are never going to be fully trusted by basically anybody in the media ever again. Because if you don't know for sure, you don't say anything.
Whether supporters agree or critics reject that view, there is little doubt that the Sussex name still carries enormous international attention. That reality is why many people viewed this proposed visit as much more than a routine trip. Harry's attendance at the Invictus Games rehearsals was expected regardless, but Meghan's participation would have marked her first appearance in Britain in several years. Such a visit inevitably would have generated worldwide media coverage, renewed discussion about the couple's relationship with King Charles, and fresh speculation over whether family tensions were beginning to ease. Instead, the opposite has happened.
It's never just straightforward. Just get on the plane, get over here. If you want to see your family, then just get on with it. If you want to go, you'll be perfectly secure in one of the royal household houses because they have a natural security blanket anyway.
Of course.
Yeah. So, this is where I think people get frustrated with them. That it seems like she wants to be treated as numero uno, and Harry is doing his wife's bidding, it would seem, because, of course he's quite right. I need to protect my family. No one. That's a perfectly normal human instinct.
With Meghan reportedly remaining in California, questions have once again surfaced about whether genuine reconciliation is still possible. Relations between Harry and Prince William remain widely understood to be deeply strained following several years of public interviews, documentaries, and Harry's memoir, Spare, in which he openly discussed disagreements inside the royal family. Although Harry has expressed love for his family on multiple occasions, many of the personal details revealed publicly created lasting damage that cannot easily be undone.
Buckingham Palace have slammed the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle Sussex drama, but I can tell you King Charles is still open to a meeting with Archie and Lily, even though it looks like they may only fly into the country for 24 hours. So I've got to tell you something, right? Trust me when I tell you that Prince Harry is not a well man. This is a man totally overwhelmed by the wacky-backy. Even his holiday in Portugal is designed to go to a place where you can smoke the wacky-backy legally. By the way, Harry, you can't do it in this country, so I'm quite surprised he wants to come back.
King Charles is often described as someone who would prefer some form of reconciliation with his younger son, particularly given the importance of family during a period in which the king continues to receive treatment for cancer while carrying out many of his constitutional responsibilities. Even so, repairing private family relationships is very different from restoring public trust, and palace officials have consistently avoided commenting on reports surrounding possible reunions unless plans are officially confirmed. Another issue complicating any return is accommodation. Since the Sussexes officially vacated Frogmore Cottage, they no longer maintain a permanent royal residence in Britain. Any future visit therefore requires separate arrangements, whether through private accommodation or temporary royal hospitality.
I'll tell you why he is slamming his father publicly, because what he's saying is, the issue's never been accommodation, so it's not good enough. It's not good enough that the king is going to give us Buckingham Palace. We need more. We need him to overrule a government decision, because then we come, and I apologise because I know it's technical and dull, but we come to the fact that there's RAVEC, which is this committee which has decided that there is no threat to Harry. And so on the record, Harry goes on, the independent risk management board that RAVEC itself decided was necessary last November has still not taken place. It is therefore difficult to understand how the proportionality of the current arrangements can credibly be maintained without that independent assessment. I'll tell you why, Harry, because they look at every risk that comes in, every threat that comes in.
Reports have suggested that suitable accommodation itself may not be the central problem. Rather, the larger concern continues to revolve around security, logistics, and the wider symbolism attached to any visit involving the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
For Meghan personally, returning to Britain would also mean stepping back into an environment that has changed dramatically since she last lived there. Public opinion polls conducted over recent years have consistently shown that her popularity in the United Kingdom remains significantly lower than it was during the early years of her marriage to Prince Harry. While polling naturally fluctuates over time and different surveys produce different results, the broader trend has been difficult to ignore.
Well, I think you can summarize it in 2 words: desperation and failure. They have reached a sort of a headwind. They run out of ideas. They can't do any more work for Netflix or Spotify or any of the main streamers. And their finances are basically in jeopardy over the long term. And Meghan is someone who is desperate for fame. She's desperate for recognition. She's desperate for money, of course, and status. And it just seems to her that a visit to the royal family in Britain would give her or restore to her the credibility she once had.
That reality creates a complicated situation. Every public appearance would inevitably be examined in extraordinary detail. Every photograph, every interaction, and every comment would dominate headlines across British and international media. Supporters would view the visit as an opportunity to move forward, while critics would likely revisit years of controversy surrounding interviews, allegations, family disagreements, and the couple's departure from royal life.
Some royal commentators believe that avoiding that intense media environment may simply be the more practical decision at this stage. Rather than risking another highly polarizing visit, remaining in California allows Meghan to continue focusing on projects already underway in the United States, without reopening controversies that have never fully disappeared.
They've got to earn it now because they're no longer members of the royal family. Their situation is, precarious. Things aren't going as well as they would like. So the only thing they really have is their royal status, in terms of just being members of the royal family, not working ones. As we say, she does like being the Duchess of Sussex, and what that title means, and to her, and the status it affords her. So there's an element of that. But in many ways, this is supposed to be a private visit to see bringing the family over, maybe to see the king. I don't know where. He's been up in Scotland. So the whole thing is a sort of PR exercise once again from the Sussexes. But yes, I think they've got to have some level of security because no one's denying that. But if Ravik also feel that they don't need the full Monty, as it were, then they should just accept it.
Financial questions have also entered the conversation, although much of the discussion remains speculative. Various commentators have argued that the Sussexes face significant ongoing expenses associated with maintaining their California lifestyle, including private security, staff, travel, and their Montecito home. Private security alone has often been estimated by commentators to cost well into the millions of dollars annually, although exact figures have never been publicly confirmed by the couple themselves. Those costs have become part of a wider debate surrounding the commercial success of their post-royal ventures. Since signing major agreements with companies including Netflix and Spotify, expectations were exceptionally high. While some projects attracted considerable attention, others concluded earlier than anticipated, leading commentators to question how the couple intends to sustain their long-term media strategy.
Harry, yes, you can leave the royal family, but he will always be King Charles's son. He can't not be King Charles's son. That is not a title that you can relinquish. You can't unfather someone, and a father cannot unson someone, which is why we've had such an issue with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, because he's lost his titles, but he's still the king's brother. Oh, I got so many girlfriends. Oh, so that's fine. So my issue is they need to be safe. And I'm furious with myself because I know that if he gets the cop cars and the blue lights and the police outriders and the whistle and the helicopters, he's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally back, man. Look at all the security I've got. I'm Prince Harry and I am back. I've won the argument. So yes, he'll be gloating, he'll be arrogant. The security, it's a flex. He goes to Ukraine, but he's safe, but he's not safe in London. I get it.
Meghan has also introduced new lifestyle and business ventures, continuing her effort to establish an independent public brand separate from royal duties. Against that backdrop, any return to Britain inevitably attracts additional attention because of the unique global interest surrounding the royal family. Even a short visit has the potential to dominate headlines worldwide in a way few other public appearances can. That is one reason some analysts believe Harry remains determined to preserve at least some relationship with the country where he was born, and with the institution that shaped most of his life. At the center of all this remains Harry himself. Despite living thousands of miles away, his connection to Britain has never completely disappeared. His military service, charitable work, long-standing involvement with veterans, and lifelong association with the royal family continue to tie him closely to the country. While California has become home for his immediate family, Britain remains closely connected to his personal history, his charitable commitments, and many of the relationships he has spent years trying to balance with his new life abroad. Rather than bringing clarity, Meghan's reported decision not to travel has only highlighted how difficult that balancing act has become. Every future visit now appears to involve not only practical planning, but also legal questions, public expectations, family dynamics, and intense international scrutiny, making even the simplest travel arrangements far more complicated than they would be for almost anyone else.
As the debate continued, another question began to emerge. If security remains the central obstacle, why does Prince Harry continue trying to arrange visits at all? The answer may lie in the fact that, despite everything that has happened over the past several years, Britain is still where many of the most important parts of his life remain. His charitable work, particularly through the Invictus Games, continues to bring him back, and there are ongoing reports that he would still like his children to have a meaningful connection with their father's homeland and with members of the royal family whenever circumstances allow. That goal, however, has become increasingly difficult to achieve. Harry has repeatedly argued that without the level of protection he believes is necessary, he cannot responsibly bring Meghan, Prince Archie, and Princess Lilibet to the United Kingdom. Critics argue that the existing security measures would already provide adequate protection, while Harry maintains that his family's profile makes additional safeguards essential. The disagreement has now stretched across several years, becoming one of the longest-running disputes connected to the Sussexes' departure from royal life. The legal rulings have also left little room for compromise. After challenging the government's decision regarding his security arrangements, Harry ultimately lost his appeal. The courts concluded that he was no longer automatically entitled to the same taxpayer-funded protection provided to working members of the royal family. Instead, each visit would continue to be evaluated individually, with security decisions based on current assessments rather than former royal status. That outcome placed Harry in a difficult position. If he chooses to pay privately for enhanced security, the financial cost could be substantial. If he accepts the arrangements currently offered, he risks contradicting the arguments he consistently made about protecting his family. And if Meghan and the children stay away altogether, the separation inevitably fuels speculation that deeper issues remain unresolved. The timing is also significant because Harry's commitment to the Invictus Games has never appeared to waver. Since launching the international sporting competition in 2014, he has remained one of its most recognizable figures. Veterans from dozens of countries continue to participate, and the Games have become one of Harry's most widely respected achievements. His involvement has largely remained separate from the controversies surrounding his royal departure, allowing him to maintain a public role focused on supporting wounded service personnel rather than family disputes. Even so, this year's preparations have become overshadowed by questions surrounding the Sussexes themselves. Instead of discussions focusing solely on the athletes or the upcoming competition in Birmingham, much of the public conversation has centered on whether Meghan will attend, whether Harry will meet King Charles, and whether any private family discussions could take place behind palace walls. Reports have also suggested that Harry hoped this visit might create opportunities for quieter moments away from the cameras. Alongside his official commitments, there was speculation that he wished to visit places connected to his late mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. For Harry, Diana's memory has remained deeply personal throughout his life, and he has frequently spoken about the influence she continues to have on both his charitable work and his approach to parenthood. Bringing Archie and Lilibet to Britain would have allowed them to experience part of that family history firsthand. Although the children have spent very little time in the United Kingdom, Harry has previously expressed his desire for them to understand both sides of their heritage. If the latest reports prove accurate, that opportunity will now have to wait. Meanwhile, Meghan's priorities appear to be increasingly centered in California. Since stepping away from royal duties, she has devoted considerable attention to developing new business projects while raising their children. Her recent lifestyle brand launch and other commercial ventures demonstrate an effort to establish an identity independent of the royal family, even though public interest in those projects is often closely linked to her royal title. This balancing act has never been easy. On one hand, Harry and Meghan have consistently emphasized their desire for privacy and independence. On the other, virtually every major public appearance they make continues to attract attention because of their royal connections. That creates an unusual situation in which separating personal identity from royal history becomes nearly impossible, regardless of how far they move geographically or professionally. Royal commentators remain divided over what comes next. Some believe the couple's future lies entirely in the United States, where they have built their home and continue pursuing media and business opportunities.
Others argue that maintaining some relationship with Britain is ultimately unavoidable because Harry's charitable commitments, family ties, and royal identity continue to pull him back. What is becoming increasingly clear is that every proposed visit now carries far greater significance than simply boarding a flight across the Atlantic. Questions about security, accommodation, family relationships, public opinion, legal decisions, and media scrutiny have all become intertwined. A trip that might once have lasted only a few days now requires months of planning, extensive coordination, and careful consideration of how every decision will be interpreted around the world. Whether Meghan's reported absence is temporary or signals a longer-term shift remains uncertain. What is certain is that the challenges facing the Sussexes have become far more complex than they appeared when they first stepped back from royal duties. Instead of fading into the background, nearly every decision they make continues to generate global attention, demonstrating that their relationship with the royal family and with Britain itself remains one of the most closely watched stories in the world. Looking beyond the immediate headlines, the bigger picture may be less about one cancelled trip and more about the direction Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's lives are taking. Nearly 6 years after stepping back from their roles as senior working royals, they remain caught between two very different worlds. In California, they have built a private family life and continue pursuing commercial and charitable projects. In Britain, Harry's family, his military legacy, and much of his public identity still remain. The challenge has been finding a way to balance those two realities without reopening old wounds every time they cross the Atlantic. For Harry, that balancing act appears increasingly personal. While disagreements with the institution of the monarchy have been well documented, his comments over the years have also revealed someone who still values his relationship with his father and continues to express hope that reconciliation is possible. Although those hopes have yet to translate into a lasting resolution, they suggest the door has never been completely closed from his perspective. King Charles, meanwhile, continues carrying out his constitutional duties while undergoing treatment for cancer, making every reported interaction with family members the subject of intense public interest. Any meeting between father and son inevitably attracts worldwide attention, even when neither Buckingham Palace nor the Sussexes publicly confirm private conversations. Palace officials have consistently maintained their long-standing approach of keeping family matters private, leaving much of the speculation to circulate without official comment. Prince William's position appears considerably more complicated. Multiple reports continue to describe the relationship between the brothers as deeply fractured, with trust remaining a significant obstacle after years of public disagreements. While neither side has spoken in detail about private conversations in recent months, it is widely understood that repairing that relationship would require far more than a single visit or a brief family meeting. That reality also affects Meghan. Regardless of differing opinions about her role in the royal story, returning to Britain under current circumstances would likely place her at the center of another relentless media cycle. Every public appearance would be analyzed, every interaction interpreted, and every headline scrutinized around the world. For someone attempting to focus on new business ventures and family life in California, stepping back into that environment may simply offer more challenges than opportunities. Recent months have shown Meghan concentrating on expanding her lifestyle brand while continuing selected media projects. Building a long-term business requires consistency, and repeated royal controversies have often overshadowed those efforts. Choosing not to travel may therefore reflect a practical decision to avoid another period where every aspect of her visit would dominate headlines instead of the work she is trying to promote. For Harry, however, Britain still represents responsibilities that cannot easily be replaced. His connection to veterans through the Invictus Games remains one of the defining achievements of his public life. The Games have earned respect across political and royal divides because they focus on recovery, resilience, and support for injured service personnel, rather than family disagreements. That commitment continues regardless of where Harry lives, making his attendance at future Invictus events highly likely even if other aspects of his relationship with Britain remain uncertain. The broader conversation also raises questions about the future of the Sussex brand itself. Since leaving royal duties, Harry and Meghan have attempted to redefine their public roles through documentaries, interviews, podcasts, charitable initiatives, and commercial partnerships. Some projects have attracted significant audiences, while others have faced mixed reviews and changing business relationships. As those ventures evolve, maintaining public relevance without relying on royal headlines becomes an increasingly difficult challenge. At the same time, it would be inaccurate to suggest that either Harry or Meghan has completely walked away from public service. Through the Archwell Foundation and other charitable initiatives, they continue supporting causes involving veterans, mental health, online safety, and community development. Those efforts receive far less media attention than royal controversies, yet they remain a consistent part of the couple's public work. Even so, public perception continues to shape every decision they make. Supporters argue that Harry is simply trying to protect his family while honoring commitments that remain important to him. Critics counter that the repeated disputes surrounding security, media attention, and royal status have prolonged controversies that might otherwise have faded over time. Both perspectives continue to fuel debate, ensuring that nearly every announcement involving the Sussexes becomes an international news story. Ultimately, Meghan's reported decision to remain in California may prove to be only a temporary adjustment rather than a permanent change of direction. Circumstances surrounding security, family relationships, and future events could evolve, potentially opening the door to another visit under different conditions. But for now, the reported decision highlights just how many unresolved issues continue to surround even the simplest plans involving the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. For Harry, Britain remains the country where he was born, served in the military, founded one of his most important charitable organizations, and where much of his family still lives. For Meghan, California has become home, providing stability for their children and the foundation for their next chapter outside the monarchy. Reconciling those two realities has proven far more difficult than anyone imagined when the couple announced they were stepping back from royal life. Whether future visits lead to reconciliation or simply create another round of headlines remains to be seen. What is clear is that the story continues to evolve, shaped by legal decisions, family relationships, public opinion, and personal choices that extend far beyond any single trip. For now, Harry appears set to continue fulfilling the commitments he believes matter most, while Meghan remains focused on their life in the United States, leaving the question of when or under what circumstances the entire family might return to Britain unanswered.